Yeah, it started. Thank you.
So guys, we are starting with Stacey's complexity model, right? Can you see the Stacey's complexity model in front of you
Yes.
on the slide?
Yes.
Now, see, on the basis of two parameters, right? Uh, Primarily on the basis of two parameters, the requirement uncertainty and the technical uncertainty, right? The projects have been categorized as simple, complicated, complex, and chaos, right? The projects which have very less uncertainty in the requirements and technology, they're simple, right? As I move forward, as the uncertainty related to requirements and technology is increasing, right? We are categorizing, right? We are categorizing the projects as uh, complicated and complex, right? And beyond this, chaos is a state where we have projects which are fundamentally risky, right? So first, let's start with simple projects. Can you give me some example of simple project, guys?
Mm,
Any example of
It
simple
could
project?
be any lean project.
laptop rollout.
See, a project in which requirement is almost clear and the
Uh,
technology is almost clear. Can it be a simple project?
yeah, laptop rollout.
Yes. So
I mean,
it
100 people laptop rollout.
Yeah, a laptop, right? So, laptop rollout is a simple project where there's a fixed scope, right? So, any other example of simple project?
it
Build,
can be an Excel-based tool that can be categorized as a lean project. Simple projects that we do in offices.
To deploy that, right? To
Yes.
deploy an Excel-based tool. Right?
Yes.
Any more example?
building a bridge.
Say that again.
Building a bridge.
See, building a bridge will still have some level of uncertainty. It may not be very simple, but will, depending on the type of bridge, there can be level of uncertainty related to design.
Okay.
Like
Now,
upgrading
now,
the
now, see,
upgrading the internet bandwidth.
Atim, even even the even if two projects look same, right? Still, the level of complexity can be different. The level of uncertainty can be different. I take a very, very simple example in front of you guys. Suppose I have to do interiors of my house, right?
Mm-hmm.
I have to do interiors of my house. And I came to know Arush is a very good architect, right? And I want him to be working as an architect and project manager for doing interiors, right? I call Arush, right? Hey, Arush, you are a very good architect. I want you to design my house, right? Uh, I want you to complete the project of interiors of my house. Now, suppose this is a project A that I assigned to him. In this project A, I said, you know, all the specifications will be given by me. See, Arush, this is a 50-page book that I am giving you, or 50-page document that I am giving you, right? In this 50-page document, each and every spec is clearly stated. For example, how living rooms have to be, how the interiors for living rooms have to be done, how interiors for uh, the bedrooms have to be done, how kitchen has to be done, how restrooms have to be done, how flooring has to be done. Every minute detail has been described in that 50-page document. Right, guys?
Mm-hmm.
I said, Arush, you have to follow this document the way it is written. You have to do interiors totally as per this document. You don't deviate from it, but please ensure that your work is done, completed on time. Now, how would you categorize this project? Would you categorize this project as a simple or complicated?
Complicated.
Yeah, it
Why
looks simple, but it is complicated. There could be some uncertainty, right? Because you are providing everything.
I think it's simple because everything is
This is a
documented.
simple. This is called as this is a simple project.
Yeah, it's a simple.
Everything I know about. See, I, I am providing all the minute details, right, to
Mm-hmm.
the project manager or architect, right? I don't want him to deviate for those from those details, right? He has to simply follow a scope. This is a simple project, right?
Mm.
Now, let's talk about a similar project, project B.
But Pankaj, once again, so here you are only talking about the requirements now. There are two axes, right? The other is technical capability. In your
Even technical,
example,
see, I'm talking about architecture, right?
uh-huh.
Interiors, I'm not talking about design, sorry. Suppose it is simply doing interiors where I have given every spec related to technical things also. Let's assume I've given every specification which is required.
But that is still the requirement. Specification is still a requirement, right? Technical capabilities mostly comes from the either from the resource perspective or the infrastructure perspective, right?
Okay, suppose I give all the technical capabilities also.
Yeah. Okay.
Then it becomes simple project.
Yeah.
Right. Now, on the other hand, right, see, a similar project, project B. Project B is, let's say, again, interior to be done, interiors of my another house to be done, let's say, or somebody else's interiors to be done, right? This is project B. In case of project B, I shared, right, my requirements with the project manager come architect like this, right? Let's say, again, this is a scenario B where I call Arush and say, Arush, I know nothing about interiors, right? I know nothing about interiors. The only thing, right? The only thing I know is, I the only thing, the only requirement I can share with you is I want my house to be highly trendy, right? It should look really good, and the interior should be done as per the latest trend. Now, this is what I can tell you. Rest you have to manage on your own. This is project B, right? Again, the the overall scope is we have the interiors of a house has to be done. But this time, the customer, I am saying, the architect, I want my house to be highly trendy, right? I want my house to look awesome. Everything, all the interiors should be done as per the latest trend. Now, you are the architect, you know what is the latest trend, you know better. You have to manage it on your own. This is project B. Now, tell me, is project B a simple project, or it lies in the area of complicated and complex?
Yeah, it's in the complicated and complex, yes, because you have provided, you have not specified the requirement. I think you have given just the idea. The requirement has to be still scoped out.
I think it's a complex
There
because
are unknowns.
there are no details available.
Yeah.
I
So
mean,
again,
we-
so projects can come, even a similar project can come to you in the form of project A or project B.
Mm-hmm.
Yes or no?
yes.
Yeah.
So based on the customer requirement, customers' expectations, also project can move from simple to complicated to complex categories.
Yes.
So first let's understand what is simple, right? What is complicated and what is complex. See, a simple project is a project where requirements and technical uncertainty is very, very less, right? Now, for these projects, you can follow predictive or waterfall approaches to manage the project. Is that
Okay.
fine? Right? Now,
Pankaj, sorry to break you. So when you say requirement very, very less, or you can say requirement very well defined or very, very less.
no, I said requirement uncertainty is very, very less. So when I say requirement
Acha,
uncertainty is very less,
okay.
it means that requirements are pretty much well defined.
Okay. Requirement. See, I missed that
Right?
word. Sorry.
And technology is also pretty much defined, right? Very well defined. So uncertainty related to technology or requirements is very less, right? In case of
Mm-mm.
simple projects, right? So we can follow predictive or waterfall model. This is more relevant.
Yes. Now I
This is
got it.
fine.
Okay. Yeah.
Now, what are complicated and complex project, right?
Mm.
See, In complicated projects, the requirement uncertainty, right, or technology uncertainty is pretty high, right?
Yeah.
There may be multiple ways of doing the project, right? There may be multiple ways of doing the project, but right, you have to figure out the best way of doing it
Yes.
based on your constraints and your scenarios, right?
Mm-hmm.
Are you getting my point?
Yes. Uh,
So for example, suppose you have, I'm giving you a difference between simple and complicated project, right? Suppose you have to catch a flight, right? And you have to travel from your home to the airport, which is around 50 or 75 kilometers away from your home. If you have to travel from your home to the airport in a clear weather condition where you don't expect any kind of traffic jams,
mm,
right? Where you don't expect any kind of traffic jams, or the weather is completely clear, the route is clear. It's more like a simple project, right? But tell me, if you have to travel the same distance in a dark, foggy weather,
mm,
right? Your destination is known, right? You know
mm,
that you will be able to reach the airport, right? The
mm,
destination is known. But tell me, will you follow the same approach, or will you continuously keep your GPS on, right? You will move, let's say 5 kilometers, you will look at, or maybe lesser number of kilometers, depending on the uncertainty. You'll see which is the best possible route. You will step forward and then you will see GPS to see the right direction.
yes.
Yes or
Yes. I
no?
mean, yes. Okay.
Right?
Mm,
Frequent reviews will be required or not to find out the right route.
yes.
Yes or no?
Yes.
So this is more like a complicated project, right? You know that okay, you have to reach this destination, but again, to reach the destination, right? You have multiple options, multiple uh, methods, multiple ways, but you have to figure out based on the uncertainty, right? You have to figure out the best possible way, right?
Mm,
This is complicated, right?
mm,
Now, what are complex projects? See, complex projects are the projects where required technology uncertainty is so high, right? You are moving ahead towards towards achieving some vision, but
mm.
success is not guaranteed. Do we have such projects also?
Y-
You're ahead to achieve something, but success is not guaranteed. Do we have such projects also?
Yes.
Now, referring to previous example where you were moving in a dark, foggy weather, right, from your home airport, I said it's complicated, right? But if I replace, uh, from your home to airport with, let's say you have to climb up the Mount Everest.
mm,
Climbing Mount Everest, is the success guaranteed?
No.
Oh,
The amount of agility required is pretty much high or not?
Yes.
Because do you have a fixed route to reach Mount Everest? Or
no.
No.
based on the situation, based on the weather condition, you will change,
yes, it will change.
right? In fact, a very simple example of complex project would be, you know, uh, when the COVID vaccine was, many companies came out with COVID vaccine through a lot of research.
Mm,
But when they started, right, was it guaranteed? Did they know that they will succeed? Was the success
No,
100% guaranteed at the time when they started?
no. No.
No.
no.
No. But again, through experiment, research, right, reviews, retrospection, they moved ahead and eventually they reached the goal. But success was not guaranteed. And this happens with a lot of research projects, right? So such type of projects, right, where you know the success is not guaranteed, the uncertainty is high, and the success is not guaranteed, right? These projects fall under complex zone. Are you getting my point?
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, when we say agile approaches, right? Agile approaches generally work well for complicated and complex zone. Agile
Yeah.
approaches work very well for complicated and complex zone, right? Now, there is a chaos also. The the fourth category is chaos. Now,
Mm.
chaos means requirements far from agreement and technology uncertainty far from certainty, right? Technology far from certainty and requirements far from agreement. This is chaos. Now, what should we do about chaos? Before planning this project, should we get more clarity on the requirement or not? Should we bring
Yes.
chaos at least at a complex level, then start working on the planning,
Yes.
Right.
right? So chaos. If the this is a fundamental risky zone, right? So if there's a lot of uncertainty like this regarding requirement or technology, rather than start planning the project directly, you should do some more research, right? You
Mm.
should do
Mm.
some more research on the requirements so that these projects, reach the range of at least complex. Then you can plan the projects. If you remember about COVID vaccine, right? Similar thing happened.
Mhm.
Initially, COVID was chaos.
Mm.
Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes.
Right? A lot of research was done on the nature of virus, right?
Mm.
As the you know as the pharmaceutical companies and researchers they got more and more information on the nature of the virus, right? It moved from chaos to complex. Then they start planning about vaccines, right? Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes.
Right.
Right. So you know the fundamental conclusion from this Stacey's complexity model is, right? You know, project complicated, complex, and chaos. So there cannot be one size fits all approach. Are you getting my point?
Yes.
So different projects require different type of treatment, right? Diagnosis, right? For example, if the projects are very simple, waterfall and predictive approaches will work well. If the project falls under complicated and complex zone, right, then we can have uh, adaptive approaches, right? And
Mm-hmm.
some projects are highly risky, fundamentally risky, which falls under the category of chaos. Before
Mm.
before planning these projects, we should do more research to get more clarity on them, so that at least they fall under complex zone. Right, guys?
Pankaj, a question here.
Yeah, yeah, sure, Prakash.
Would we be studying more about these waterfall approach and all? Because I do not have a background or knowledge about these.
See a lot,
Okay.
not less, a lot. We have
Okay.
not even started more. Right?
Okay. Because it has
We
been
do
used multiple times since yesterday, so I was just
yeah,
wondering.
a lot, a
Okay.
lot. See,
Okay.
but again, see, in depth you will understand when we'll complete the whole course, but you will go through it multiple times, right? So
Sure.
next step is, see, I have spoken about adaptive approaches. I have spoken about predictive and waterfall approaches, right? So can we first start with predictive and waterfall approaches? Predictive or waterfall, right? Can we start with that?
Sure.
Yes. Sure.
Right? Look at this diagram. Look at
All
this
right.
picture in front of you.
Feasibility planning,
This is a
design,
typical
construction.
example. This is a typical example of a waterfall model or a predictive life cycle. Now, we are moving from requirement to feasibility to planning to design to construct to test to turnover. Now, this kind of life cycle, which is called as waterfall model or predictive model, works extremely well when the requirements are very clear, right? There is certainty about technology, and project is relatively small,
Mm.
right? But let's see, what are the disadvantage of this method when project has some level of uncertainty and the project is relatively bigger in size, right? Can we take an example of, can we assume a project to be 12-month project?
Okay.
So we are saying like waterfall is better for the small projects and
Small, simple, less
less,
uncertain.
less complex, right?
Yes, yes. See, this can be very highly efficient for simple projects, right? Small, right? Simple will almost no uncertainty. But let's see what is the disadvantage of having this waterfall or predictive approach when the project size is big and has some uncertainty, right? Can we consider a 12-month project, Sujit?
Yeah.
Right? Suppose a project is 12 months, right? Now, and this is the 12th month when you are demonstrating. This is the 12th month, right? When you are giving a demonstration of the product to the customer, of the working product, right? Now, look at this. Before this 12th month, yeah, right? For majority of time, what you have given, shown to the customer, documents or the real product?
We are giving, I think, documents.
Documents.
Yes.
So for majority of period, you are showing the customer documents, right? Not any concrete product, right?
Correct.
Now, on 12th month, when you gave this, when you give a demonstration of your working product to the customer said, see, I wanted to have a sedan car. You are giving me a hatchback car. Is it likely to happen or not?
No, it will not be happen because you have given your requirement, right? So if you have given your requirement like a hatchback or a sedan,
Don't you think, Sujit, working deliverable is a primary measure of success? See,
yeah,
many times requirement looks very good, the document looks very good, but when the end product comes in, customer says, I am disappointed. Customers showed us very nice presentations. Your documentation was too good, but when it boils down to the real product, I am disappointed. Does it happen
yeah.
or not?
So one question, Pankaj, like
Yeah.
when we are following this, we having a sprint-wise as well with the
See, we
customer.
are
This,
talking about predictive life cycle.
sorry,
No,
predict.
no, absolutely no sprints.
No sprint. Yeah. Okay, yeah.
We are talking
Then,
about
then it's
waterfall model.
waterfall. Yeah. Okay.
Now, suppose in the waterfall model, right, where we are implementing the right whole project in a linear model like this. It's a linear model.
Correct.
Now,
Yeah.
tell me if on 12th month, customer says, I wanted to have a sedan car, but you are giving me a hatchback car, right? I'm not happy. I wanted a product. I wanted something totally different from what you are delivering, right?
Mm-hmm.
So in that case, don't you think you have to start from the beginning again?
Yes.
Yeah. It will.
You have to modify requirements. You have
Yeah.
to modify design, right? Again, retest, and there can be never-ending cycles like this,
Correct. Yes.
right? So, for projects that have some level of uncertainty, right, and bigger in terms of duration, this waterfall model will not work.
Mm-hmm.
You agree or not?
Yes.
Agree, sir. Agree.
Right? So again, they are very efficient for a small project, right? Small predictive project. Now, can we discuss some projects where they are really
One more thing, Pankaj, like, sorry, in waterfall lean, we don't have sprint wise. So means like when is your go live, then means we are only updating customer through HLD and LLD, right? We are delivering the product once this turnover is done, right?
see we can do we can share the once again first the thing in waterfall model is or predictive model is first I'll do requirements for the entire system. Right? I'll do feasibility for the entire system. I'll plan scope for the entire system, right? I may be creating a work breakdown structure for the entire system. I'll do design for the entire system, then start building the entire system at a go, right? And before going live, I'm showing my, even if I want to demonstrate, right, to customer, but I'm showing the entire system at once,
Okay.
right? Maybe in testing also I can invite the customer, right? But I'm constructing the whole system together,
Mm-hmm.
right? So for majority of the period, I was doing documents only. I was showing documents only, right?
Correct.
Lot of
And some
documentation.
Pankaj, even if you're doing the documentation, there will be some project manager assigned to this predictive life cycle, right? So in
yeah,
case you are doing this designing, you are taking those go ahead or sign off from the client that this is what we would be building up, right?
see
Client
the
might be
question.
ambitious, like at any point of time, even if you're doing those testing and turnover,
Mhm. Say that
right?
again. The last point here.
I'm saying that the client might be ambitious, right? He might come with
No, see,
ultimate.
it's not the question of client being ambitious, right? It's a question of whatever you document, putting a document into reality is practically a very difficult task. See, in Accenture, Ritesh, haven't you seen, coming out with presentations and documents is easier as compared to implementation?
Yep, that's true.
That's true, right? So we don't want to get into that loop. See, so if it's a simple project, right, you can follow this model. But if the project has some level of uncertainty, right, you have to deliver product in increments so that on regular basis you get feedbacks from the customer. We'll talk about this later. But first, see this model will not fit the bill in case of a project, right, which is big and has some level of uncertainty. Because on papers you cannot, approve deliverables,
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah.
right? Do you agree or not?
Until and unless
Right.
you see something working.
Yeah, right.
Mm.
You have to see something working now. But some projects, for example, see if a doctor, we know that doctors perform bypass surgeries, they perform knee replacement surgeries. Now
Mm.
suppose let's talk about a standard knee transplant surgery,
Mm.
right? A standard knee transplant surgery followed certain predefined steps,
Right.
right? Now can I take it as a simple project where waterfall can be applied, predictive approach
Yes.
can be applied,
Yes.
right? Now when you take your car to a service center for first or second or third service, right, are the steps predefined or not?
Yes.
Unless and until some exception is there, right, with your car, right, for a
Right.
standard service. So in such cases, in such small project, can we say the waterfall or predictive model will work very well?
Yeah.
Yes or no?
Yes.
Yep.
Now, but again, the moment the level of uncertainty start increasing in terms of technology or requirements, and the duration of the project start increasing, then this model will not work very well in those situations. Are you getting my point? Are you following, guys?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what to do, right, if the level of uncertainty is high, right, and uh, the project sizes are big? See, for those type of projects, we follow adaptive approaches, right? And within adaptive approaches also, there are multiple variants depending on the level of uncertainty, right? So can we move forward, guys?
Yeah.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Now, I'll first start with the incremental approach. This is also a kind of a linear approach, right? Though, but again, you here you deliver project in phases. It's also called as phased approach. Now, see, yesterday we discussed about planning horizon, if you remember,
Mm.
right? Now, there's a background noise, guys. Please take care of it, right? Yesterday we discussed about planning horizon, right? Now, what is planning horizon? The the distance till what we can see clearly about the project, right? The
Mm.
time frame, right? Till we can see very clearly about the project, right? Right?
Yes.
Yes or no?
Yes.
Planning horizon, right? Now, a planning horizon can vary, right? For some project where there is a level of uncertainty, but the level of uncertainty is slightly low. The planning horizon can vary from 3 to 5 months or 2 to 5 months, right?
mm,
But
mm, mm,
the projects where level of uncertainty is very, very high, right? Complexity is very, very high. The planning horizon can be a can be a 4 week period, a month period, or a 2 week period, right?
Right.
So first we'll talk about those projects where there is an uncertainty. Projects are big and they're decently big, and there's a level of uncertainty. But planning horizon is around, let's say, 2 months,
mm,
right? You can see you have a visibility of 2 to 5 in the range of 2 to 5 months at what you have to do. So such projects can follow incremental approaches, where the entire scope can be delivered in small increments, right? And every increment is called as a phase, right? So this is also here the project is managed based on phases or stages, right? For example, if you have to deliver a township, right? And a township consists of uh, low-rise apartment, high-rise apartment, villas, and clubs and other areas and shopping areas, right? So, you know, this kind of project can be delivered in phases. For example, in the first phase, you can deliver, let's say, low-rise apartment. In this phase, you can plan, high-rise apartment. In the third phase, you can plan, uh, you know, the villas, and in the fourth phase, you can do club and other areas. Now, what is the benefit of managing project by stages or phases? Tell me, guys, what is the benefit of managing project by phases or
So
stages?
if any
yes.
changes are required, that is easy to bake into the
Absolutely.
project.
Yeah,
You can, you
feedbacks.
can so the
The
basic benefit of
level of
managing,
uncertainty is less.
yeah, yes.
And continuous feedback from the state.
Absolutely. See, if the project is managed mentally in phases, right? The end of every phase, you can do review and retrospection.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of, you can see at the end of every phase, like for example, at the end after the delivery of first increment, what you can do review how the stage has performed and the retrospect. Now, based on review and retrospection, you can take corrective and preventive action for the phase, for the successor phase, right? You can inspect and adapt at the end of every phase. You can
Right.
refine the plan for subsequent phase based on the learning from the first phase. You can apply learning in the sub phases.
Correct.
Yes or no?
Yeah.
So this is the benefit, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now,
Yes.
when you deliver project in phases like this, right? At every after every increment, right? After every increment, right? Or at the end of every phase, you will do a viability check also, right?
Mm-hmm.
All these endpoints, right? At the end of every phase, you will have a phase exit or stage exit or a kill point. Now, this point is, where you check the ongoing viability of the project. Is still is the project still value for money proposal, right? Is it is the project still has viable, desirable, achievable, and sustainable business case, right? Does the project still have continued business justification? If the project is no more a worthwhile investment proposition, right, you will either stop, right, or change the direction. Do you have this kind of flexibility or not?
Yes.
Right? Because based on the learning, you can, adapt. You can redefine the direction for the subsequent phases,
Right.
right? Or if required, you can stop also. And based on the learning, if you come to know about the viability of the project earlier, right? That project is no more viable if the way we are moving ahead, then it helps you to prevent a bigger failure,
Correct.
right? So
Sorry, Pankaj, what could be the reasons like where you have to think that we are not following I mean, it is not viable anymore. I mean, it's a
see
high
what
cost or
yeah, sometimes it can be market changes,
Okay.
Sometimes
or
it can be,
maybe or
or you know,
maybe
or a better understanding of the market,
mm,
right? Now, see, I'll give you one example here. You know, uh, I live in uh, uh, at a place which is Express Highway, Noida, right? Uh, Now, just opposite to my house, right? Just opposite to my house, a builder came out. See, it was, I think, 10 years ago. I'm talking about 10 years ago, a builder came out with highly premium flats, right? And they have to be developed in around, 20 acres of land. And 10 years ago, the cost of the cost of a single flat was in the range of 3.5 to 7 crores. I'm talking about 10 years ago, maybe slightly earlier than that, right? Now, when I visited them, they told that the entire area will be covered by those premium flats only, right? Now, what happened after they complete the first phase, which was covering 5 acres of the land? They found out that in India, there are very still, it was about 10 years ago, there's still very less number of people who can afford such flats. That was their learning after delivery of the first phase. So what,
mm,
based on the learning, what they did was they converted rest of the area, right, into a affordable 3-bedroom apartments, right, which were falling in the range of 70 lakhs, which people can easily afford. So did they change the direction based on the learning of the first phase or not?
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
mm,
Now, apart from this, many times the benefit of doing a project incrementally is, that, the benefit realized from the first phase, right, can be used to fund the subsequent phases. When you roll out project in a phased manner, right,
mm.
you will have benefit realization from the first phase.
Yes, absolutely.
Can it be used to fund the subsequent phases?
Yep.
Yes.
Tell me, if let's say you have funding as a constraint,
Mm,
right, then also, this model will help you.
yes, because if you are developing some application like Paytm and you release it and you get something, I mean, fund wise,
Or
then
maybe, the example I gave you, you delivered, let's say, low-rise apartment, you sold it,
mm-hmm.
you get money, which can be used to fund the subsequent phases,
Yes, correct.
right?
Yes, similar version. Yes.
Now, this is a incremental, right?
Mm.
Or phased approach. It is also a linear approach, right? Now, tell
Pankaj,
me, yeah,
just one more question. So when you say increment one, two, three, four, this is kind of an iteration. No, no, not iteration,
no,
right?
no, 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 it's not. That's what I'm coming at. These are,
Mm,
it's a phased approach, right? Right.
okay.
And I have told you that the time horizon for a phase is from 2 months to, let's say, 5 months, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now,
Ah,
tell
two more.
me, now tell me where this situation will not work. See, this kind of approach will not work in certain situations. Now, can you tell me in what situations this kind of approach won't work?
Where you need
Where the
frequent.
complex, yeah, where the complexity is very high and the
And
time horizon till which you can see clearly is less than a month.
Yes, that is what.
If the complexity, maybe technical complexity or the requirement uncertainty so high that you can maximum your time horizon where the time till which you can see very, very clearly is maximum 4 weeks, or it can be as low as 2 weeks or lesser also. Will this approach work?
yes, or if there could be there is a dynamic environment like we discussed yesterday, where
Yeah,
the market may present new opportunities, or maybe the changes could be frequent.
yeah. If the changes are very, very frequent, you can't plan for, 2 months to 4 months. Your planning horizon will be less than a month,
Yes.
right? Maybe much, much lesser than that. So there, this approach is, though this is a kind of a adaptive approach only, but this will not work there. Those situations, what to do? You have to further break the phases, right, into small iterations.
Mm,
Instead of phases, you have small iterations, and the iterations can be they have to be less than a month, right?
Like 2 weeks.
Though the most popular cycle duration is 2 weeks, right? But definitely they have to be less than a month, right? They can be less than, they can go down to a week also, but definitely less than a month, right? So, you know, so in a way you can say that, the phases that you have created, right? Let's say you, phased approach, it was like this. Let me draw a diagram for you. Suppose these were the phases, right? Suppose these are the phases.
So just a quick one. I mean, when you say
Yeah.
phases, is it similar to the working breakdown schedules?
No,
Okay, there's a difference.
huge difference. There is no relation, right?
Okay, okay.
Now see, now these were phases, right? So now if the project requires very high amount of uncertainty, right? You cannot plan till the end of a phase, which
Correct.
is, let's say, 2 to 5 months. So you have to have your time horizon till which you can see clearly reduces, right? So you will have to decompose these phases into small sprints. Yes or no?
Yes.
Like this. Now, depending on uncertainty, they can be 4 weeks or 2 weeks or even less than that, right?
So in one sentence, we would be breaking that phase also into pieces.
Yes. And now you are following you are planning now instead of planning the phase, you are planning this iteration, right? Which later I'll show you is called a sprint when we'll discuss about Scrum. In Scrum, it is called a sprint, right? Now the
Okay.
standard name is iteration. Now every sprint, right? Every sprint will have planning, daily reviews and retrospection, right? I'll talk about this in details when we'll talk about agile frameworks and methodologies, right? When we'll discuss Scrum, we'll discuss, and other agile frameworks and methodologies, we'll discuss details, but I'll give you a very high level view, right? The planning, reviews will and retrospection will happen every sprint now, right?
Hmm.
So you will inspect and adapt at level rather than a phase level,
Hmm.
because the level of uncertainty is very, very high. Now, this kind of approach that I'm showing you, right, is incremental and iterative approach, right? You not only deliver incrementally, but constantly you refine your work also, right? This is an agile approach. So in this course, we'll do through various agile frameworks and methodologies. We'll start with Scrum framework next week, right? And we'll go through other agile methodologies also, such as Lean, Kanban, feature-driven development, extreme programming, right?
Hmm.
Crystal will cover all of them in subsequent weeks, right?
Hmm.
Now, see, if you want to understand at high level how these approaches are different, see, if you look very minutely, every each of this, methodology, right, or life cycle approach is based on famous PDCA cycle plan. Have you heard about PDCA cycle
Yeah, plan, do, check, and act.
plan?
Plan, do, check, analysis. Okay.
Check and
Do,
act.
check,
And act.
act or adjust.
Okay.
Different people act,
Sorry.
right? This who invented this cycle?
Uh,
Deming's. This is also called as Deming cycle, right? In fact, this was invented by Deming and Walter Sheward, who jointly invented control chart. Sorry, Deming and Walter Sheward invented this PDCA or plan, do, check, and act cycle, right? Walter Sheward is the same person who invented control charts also. Now, so can any one of you tell me what is plan, do, check, and act? Then we see plan, do, check, and act with respect to this life cycle methodologies. What is plan, do, check, and act, guys?
for example, if we plan a feature, we implement it, we test it, and if it is good, then we implement it. I mean, that is what act is.
No, I think
See,
check is review here, and then act is acting on the reviews.
retrospection,
Yeah.
retrospection and adjusting, right? See, now, do you plan the work?
Mm.
Yes.
You plan the work,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, we plan.
Then you execute as per the plan.
Correct.
Then you validate the work.
Yeah, review, yeah.
You do testing.
Mm.
Yeah.
Then you act or you retrospect, right? And find, do you retrospect or not?
Yeah, we do.
Went
Yeah.
well, what went wrong, and you refine your work based on that. You try to improve. You reflect on what you have done and try to improve yourself.
Yeah,
Yes.
every sprint closer, we do this, right?
Yeah. So listen very carefully. See, in predictive approaches, waterfall model, you do it at once, plan, do, check, and act only one time for the whole project.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
In the phased approach, right, which was the previous one or the incremental approach, every
Mm.
phase you plan, do, check, and act,
Yes.
Yes. Every phase. Yes.
right? In the agile approach, right, or in the methodology, every sprint you do plan, do, check, and act.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yes or no?
Yes.
So can you relate this all these life cycle methodologies with plan, do, check, and act process, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Right now, before we move forward, few questions so that you can just to so that I am sure your understanding is correct, right? Few
Mm.
questions to all of you.
Mm.
Tell me, if the requirements are absolutely clear and the project is small, which life cycle methodology will you use?
Waterfall.
Waterfall.
For
Right?
Linear
Waterfall.
waterfall.
Yeah. If the level of uncertainty is there and the project is big, right? Let's say the time horizon, right? The distance till which you can see clearly ranges from, let's say, 2 to 5 months.
Mm.
Which approach is preferable?
Increment.
Like phase wise,
Phased.
that incremental.
Yeah. And the third situation, when the requirement uncertainty is very high, right? Uh,
Mm.
and the technology uncertainty is very high, projects are complex, and your visibility can be maximum month, not beyond it. Then which approaches works well?
Agile.
agile.
Iterative, increment and iterative, both. Agile.
Incremental.
Incremental and iterative, right? Which is agile,
Incremental.
right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Incremental and iterative both, right?
yeah,
Yes.
Right. Agile is incremental and iterative both, right? Is that okay?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Now we have discussed about predictive model. We have discussed about increment, right? We have discussed about uh, incremental and iterative, which is agile. Now, can we discuss about hybrid now? Right? Hybrid is a scenario. See, hybrid is a scenario where with in a similar project, we have a combination of predictive also, maybe and adaptive also. We can have predictive, incremental, and agile together. Can we see some examples of that? Can we see some example of hybrid now?
Yes.
Yeah.
Right? Because PMI will cover all of them, right? There will be questions on hybrid also in PMI exam, PMP exam. Now, before we start with hybrid, I'll take the middle case, second case. A project where you have agile and predictive together, right? Can we take some example of this?
Agile and predictive side by
Now,
side.
guys, suppose so. Let's take one very simple example for this, right? Agile and predictive together, which is a hybrid model. Suppose you have to build a new airport, guys. Constructing an airport, is it a big project?
Yes.
Yes.
Now, when you talk about uh, a big airport may have lot of has lot of infrastructural components, right? Like runways, right? Multi-level parking, the shopping area, the lounges, right? The the whole airport, right, has to be constructed. Plus, there will be a lot of utilities like electricals, right? Uh, or it may be, the air conditioning. Now, such things can be done using either predictive or incremental approach, simple incremental approach, phased approach, or a predictive approach. Now, apart from this, airport has a lot of sophisticated IT components also. Lot of AI-enabled components, lot of IoT-enabled components, right? Every airport has a flight management system, right? Which has to be constantly updated, right? Because uh, uh, so that the flight management becomes more and more efficient, right? Customer relationship management and enterprise resource planning, right? Systems. Now, tell me, for IT components, like, AI components, for IoT components, should we use agile or not?
Yes.
Yes.
Right? So within same project, right, different components built in different approaches, right? This is one scenario where hybrid can be used, right? Agile and predictive components together, right? Now let me take second example of hybrid. Now tell me, let's go down to COVID vaccine. Developing a COVID vaccine, is it agile or not?
Yes, agile. I mean, yep.
Right? But rolling out, right? Giving vaccines to people, right? Because rolling out is also a project.
Yes.
Is
Right.
can we do rolling out in a predictive or incremental manner?
Yes.
Yeah.
Right? Yes or
Phase.
no?
Yes, yes, we
Yes.
can.
For example, in fact, developing an antivirus is also a kind of agile, right? The way new antiviruses are coming, right? The way security breaches happen, right?
Yeah.
Right? So the development can be agile, but rollout can be predictive, right? Yes or no?
Yes,
Yes.
yes,
Yes.
yes, yes.
So these are different situations where we use hybrid methods, right? Now, can you give me an example of a situation, right, where project is largely predictive, right? The project is largely predictive with some components which are agile.
So we can have a project where the requirements are defined, but we can use agile methodologies like the sprint meetings.
Yeah. Shubham, so Shubham, can I say, for example, if a simple portal website has to be developed, right?
Yeah.
Website can be done using predictive, but that if, let's say, that website has a chatbot, right? And chatbot is something which is continuously evolving.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
Make it more better, right? In fact, you might have observed also, you know, the the chatbots are constantly becoming better and better,
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
right? As compared to what kind of chatbots we used to have 3-4 years ago, right? So can I say, this is an example where the the main project is done using predictive, but you have a component which will follow agile, right?
Correct.
Another way, another situation where we can use hybrid, right?
There mostly
Project
is.
which is largely agile, mostly agile, but can have some predictive components. A largely agile project with some predictive components, right? Now, can you give me some example of this? An example of this, guys.
Creating a bank environment